Hello, I'm MrTieDye, and I'm getting ready to dye the Geode dye that I tied up. Well, I guess I tied it up yesterday. But once I tied up all of the Geode parts, then I just used kite string, and I gathered up the rest of the t-shirt. And now we're going to do the ice dyeing of this Geode. So what I like to do when I'm ice dyeing is try to get all the Geodes kind of laying off at a 90-degree angle so that I can sprinkle dye on them, and also try to sprinkle on more than one color, because the different sections where I've pulled the sinew tight on here, that's going to create some texture within the geode itself, some shaping. So if I put some different colors on here, then that's going to add to the texture and the design. So I picked out my dyes. Ultimately, I like to do ice dyeing outside because I'm working with the fine powder, but since it's getting dark outside, I'm not going to do that. But there's lots of methods of applying the dye. I just use a cheap spoon and sprinkle it on. The other thing that I'd say is a must for anytime you're working with dyes, whether you're mixing it up normal for liquid dyeing or you're doing ice dyeing, especially, that's the time when you really need it, is one of these dust masks that has these filters on the side. I believe you can get them at Dharma. You can probably find them on Amazon, but these are the ones that you're getting the fine particles, keeping that out of your nose, because you can develop allergies and respiratory problems when working with these dyes. So I always recommend wearing a mask. And when I have the mask on, of course, you can't hear me as well, so you'll have to watch, and I'll try to talk some and explain what I'm doing here. But let's zoom in so you can see this. There we go. Okay, I'm going to start sprinkling my dye on now. And I usually hit the geodes first, and then I'll go back and do the filler dye here. Okay, so there is the t-shirt ready to go. I've sprinkled the dye all the way around. What I'll do next is kind of build up a little border here. I got one other mandala dye I'm going to do at the same time since I'm doing ice dyes. But I'll build up a kind of a wall with some cardboard, and you'll see that later. And then that's when we put the dye on, or the ice. Once I put a small layer of ice on, I'll usually sprinkle a little bit of soda ash, just the powder. On top of that, put another layer of ice, and then sometimes I'll sprinkle another last color of dye on top that's going to just kind of rain down on this and just give some more color to it. That's usually a darker color that I'll put on. So I'll get back to that here in just a second. Thank you. Okay, now I'm all set up. I built a wall for my ice so that I can pile a bunch of it up in here. So that's what we're going to start with. And then I also have my soda ash. I'm going to put a little bit layer of ice on there, and then I'm going to put some soda ash, more ice, and then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of dye. Since I have two t-shirts in there, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of one color here and a different color over here. So that's what we're going to do next. Oh, I need to break my ice. Hold on. Okay, ready to go with the ice here. So I just pour some on, just enough to cover everything up. And then the soda ash. Like I say, I always pre-soak my ice dyes in soda ash, but I like to add a little bit extra just in case. With all this ice going in, I definitely don't want to take a chance on diluting my soda ash to the point where the dyes are going to be muted. So I'll always sprinkle just a little bit of soda ash on there. Then we'll put some more ice. And then we're going to top it off with some more dye. So on this one here, I want some fuchsia to melt down over top there. So we'll sprinkle that in. And on the other one, we want turquoise. So we'll open that up. And this here just adds one more color. Sometimes it'll help color the rest of the t-shirt in, fill in the blank spaces as this colored water basically melts down over top. And we'll overlap these just a little bit. Okay, and now we'll let that sit. What I do for my ice dyes is I wait until all the ice is melted and check it, and sometimes I'll lift the rack up, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set this a little bit higher just to make sure I keep these out of the muck. And that's easy enough. I just set a couple bottles or something under here, raise this up a little bit, and then I have more room underneath. But at the end, I'll lift it up and kind of look underneath to see if I got good dye saturation. If I still have big clumps of dye sitting on top of the t-shirt, I'll go ahead and put a little bit more ice on that, so it's something you have to kind of check back on. But other than that, this is all ready to go. So we'll see the results in a few days. Thank you.